Hello, everybody. Do we have any Kentucky fans here? Adolph Rupp, who coached at Kentucky for 42 years, liked to say when he would paraphrase the Bible, "I lift up mine eyes unto the hills from which cometh my help." And we're lifting our eyes up here today. We're proud to welcome the President to Eastern Kentucky. We're proud that he has been gracious enough to welcome our 1996 and 1998 national championship teams to the White House. And we're all confident that he's going to welcome again in later 1999. I'd like to introduce you to some people now, so please say welcome to them. The mayor, I had his name, but he already came out. Wave, Mayor. Mayor Gorman. A gentleman who's making his second trip to the mountains in his many summers, the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Please welcome Mr. Dwayne Ackerman, Chairman and CEO of Bell South Corporation. The Secretary of Agriculture, Dan Glickman. And another native Eastern Kentuckian who now is Governor of the Commonwealth, Paul Patton. A big Kentucky welcome for the President of the United States, William Jefferson Clinton. Hello there.
Look, did anybody stay home today, or did everybody come out to see Bill Clinton? Mr. President, honored guests and friends, as the mayor of the city of Hazard, and on behalf of the people of Eastern Kentucky and the mountains of all Appalachia, we extend to you a historical and hearty welcome. You are the first president to ever visit us. You are the man from Hope, Arkansas. Mr. President, this is what we need. We need hope. We need help for our people. To have the quality of life that is the promise of this great nation. The Appalachian Regional Commission has done a great job, but we need help. We need highways like Interstate 66, Mr. President, that will open our country. We need airports that will handle Air Force One. Mr. President, 2,000 more feet will make Wendell Ford awful happy. We need jobs. The best way to abolish poverty is to provide jobs for our people. Let's make them taxpayers. Mr. President, we thank you and may God bless you.
Well, thank you, Mayor Gorman. My name's Dwayne Ackerman, Chairman and CEO of Bell South Corporation. It's indeed a pleasure for me to be able to visit with you today, and it's an honor for me to be able to be here with you and with President Clinton and other distinguished guests that are here today. Bell South's proud to provide telecommunications services to many of the citizens in Kentucky. And while we don't serve Hazard, we do serve many of the surrounding communities in this part of the state. Now, we at Bell South have a deep-seated belief that it's an imperative that companies invest back in the communities that they serve. And this is a guiding foundation for the tradition of services and those things that relate directly to our participation here today. We support President Clinton's historic New Markets Initiative, a plan that focuses on assuring that our rural communities are able to benefit from the continued strong growth of the U.S. economy. We're also proud of our association with the Youth Opportunity Movement and believe that our participation is a win-win for Bell South and for the Appalachian region of Kentucky. It's now my pleasure to introduce to you the United States Secretary of Agriculture, Dan Glickman. Throughout his distinguished public career, including his 18 years as a member of U.S. House of Representatives from the state of Kansas, Secretary Glickman has been a strong supporter and advocate for rural development. Under Secretary Glickman's leadership, the United States Department of Agriculture has focused its support on rural America through President Clinton's initiatives for designing rural enterprise communities and rural empowerment zones. Please join me in welcoming the Honorable Dan Glickman, Secretary of Agriculture. Secretary Glickman.
Thank you, Dwayne. The sign on the bank says it's 97 degrees, which means it's probably 107 outside. You came to hear our great President Bill Clinton, okay? So I will keep this short. For the last 6.5 years, our President Bill Clinton, our Vice President Al Gore have led the effort to create the strongest economy in over 2 generations, okay? But we also know that there are vast areas of both urban and rural America, and urban America served by my colleague Andrew Cuomo, the Secretary of HUD, who's here, and I, of course, deal with rural America. Areas that need additional help to be part of that great American revival, and that's why the President came here. And we've done a lot in this region. We've done a lot to bring unemployment down. We've done a lot to create jobs. We were just at the company Mid-South Electric, which has created 350 jobs in the last 5.5 years. Thousands of more have been created. But we're here to hear the President talk about what we can do for the future of new markets, which he will talk about. But before he speaks, I want to introduce a man who has helped lead us to understand the need that while Wall Street can be great, Main Street also has to participate in the great economic revival of our times as well. That man has been one of the nation's fiercest and most effective champions for Americans who have been left out of the economic mainstream. He knows as well as anyone the power and potential of the new markets of rural and urban America. That man, my friends, is the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Thank you.
Repeat these words. Save the workers. Save the families. 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 Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Hazard number one. Today we thank and praise God for this privilege and this opportunity to be with you today on this historic occasion. America's son from hope brings hope. He brings light to dark places. The first American president to visit an Indian reservation since Coolidge, to come to Appalachia with an economic message since Lyndon Johnson. He comes not for money but for votes because he cares enough, because he's reached out enough, because he's determined enough to make America work for all of us. Let's give President Bill Clinton a tremendous round of applause. Express yourself. Thank you, Mr. President. In some real sense, we come to Appalachia today because you represent the soul of America. Appalachia does not represent poverty, but potential and power and patriotism and culture and art and trade. You worked hard enough. You paid your dues enough. In war, you shed blood enough to share in America's growth, America's wealth, and America's prosperity. God bless Hazard. God bless Appalachia. We come today with a very essential message. There is in America underserved markets, underutilized talent, and untapped capital. We must make this a more perfect union and build bridges. Take light to dark places. Take hope to places of despair. As I toured Pike County and went to Fed Creek High School right down in these hills, you've worked hard enough. You've paid your dues. And so as America grows in wealth and prosperity, let Hazard share in the growth, the wealth, and the prosperity. This land is our land. Today we come as we celebrate Independence Day for our nation, Emancipation Day for the working poor. I'm glad President Clinton has not forgotten, has not stepped away from the American dream. He knows that most poor people are not black or brown. They're white, they're female, they're young, they're invisible. Whether white, black, or brown, we are all God's children. He fights to raise minimum wage. He fights for Medicare because he knows most poor folks are not on welfare. You work every day. You work in the coal mines. You drive the cabs. You farm. You work in fast food restaurants. You work in hospitals. Time of war, you put your life on the line. You deserve the best America has to offer. That's why we're here today, because you deserve it. And then lastly, we're here today because it is our moral mission. For there is a tremendous budget surplus. If we left any American behind, there would be a moral deficit. And so President Clinton knows very well that we measure our character by how we treat the least of these. We must now afford health care for every American, wipe out malnutrition, adequate housing for all American people, we now have the chance to end the century on a high note. We should make America better and better and better. This land is our land. And then lastly, there's been so much focus of late on the race gap. When University of Kentucky hits that basketball court, black and white alike, there is no race gap because the playing court is even. The rules are public and the goals are clear. If we can get along together on the football field or basketball court or baseball diamond, let's get along together with a health care plan, an education plan, and a jobs plan. This land is our land. Today, President Clinton could be relishing in a victory in Kosovo. He could be doing a victory lap, but he knows it's right to help bail out Indonesia, or bail out South Korea, or help Kosovo. But he is today because he knows we must help Hazard, Kentucky. We must help Appalachia. This makes America great. And so lastly, we come today as men and women of faith, building a bridge from Wall Street to Appalachia to the Delta. We must make this a more complete union. These last 6 years, President Clinton and Al Gore have made this nation better. Mr. Reagan used to say some time ago, after 4 years, is America better off? And Polk would say no. I tell you, look at unemployment. Is America better 6 years later? Are we making better wages 6 years later? Are we getting Medicare 6 years later? Are we a stronger nation 6 years later? And so I say today, hold on to your faith. Hold on to your family in times of crisis. Let's turn to each other, not on each other. Let's love each other. Let's love our nation. Let's love our God. There are difficult times. When times get difficult, don't panic. Don't surrender. Don't become mean-spirited. Become loving. Become caring. Become prayerful. Weeping may endure for a night, the writer says, but hold on to your faith, and joy cometh in the morning. Hazard, it's joy time. It's morning time. It's new markets time. God bless you, and keep hope alive.
Mr. President, welcome. And thank you for visiting us in our home, in my home, Appalachian, Kentucky. And Mr. President, thank you for reminding our countrymen that before we as a nation can be all that we can be, before we as a society can reach our maximum potential, then every state of this union, every region of this country, every citizen of these United States must reach their maximum individual potential. Mr. President, thank you for reminding the leaders of America's business community that here in these beautiful mountains, that here on America's first frontier, that here in the heartland of the country lies an opportunity to acquire new productive capacity, an opportunity to make our nation more wealthy, an opportunity to create new markets. Mr. President, 200 years ago, the people of these mountains led our nation in conquering a wilderness and spreading our domain from coast to coast. 100 years ago, the muscles of our forebearers harvested the timber on these mountains that built so much of this nation. 50 years ago, the labor of our coal miners fueled a nation which came to dominate the world. We're proud of the work of our ancestors, but today, Mr. President, it's not the manual labor of our people that we offer the nation, rather it is the mental labor. It's our intellectual capital and our work ethic that we advertise as our greatest assets. It's the opportunity to participate in the knowledge-based economy of the 21st century that we ask for. The Appalachia of today is not the Appalachia of 30 years ago. Thanks to the infrastructure built with the help of the Appalachian Regional Commission, the people of Kentucky have helped build the schools, the roads, and the infrastructure that we have to share in the wealth of modern-day America. Today, we ask the leaders of corporate America to do their part. Invest in Appalachian America. Give us the opportunity, and we'll give you our labor and our loyalty. Mr. President, we ask you to take that message to every boardroom in America. As I stand here in the shade of these mountains we love so well, I sense a new dawning, a new chapter, a new opportunity in a new Appalachia. So it's with distinct pleasure that I present to my fellow citizens the president whose childhood Arkansas was much like our childhood Appalachia. The president we know and who knows us because he's visited Kentucky more than any other president in the history of this Commonwealth. The president who has led our nation to unprecedented prosperity. The president who is the champion of the oppressed people of Kosovo. Our fellow Southerner, our friend, our President William Jefferson Clinton. Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, the governor always told me if I would only come to Appalachia, I would get a very warm welcome. And, I want to thank the good people of Hazard and Perry County for giving me that warm welcome. I want to thank all the people of Eastern Kentucky who have made me and my party feel so welcome today. Paul and Judy Patton. I thank Mayor Gorman and Judge Noble. I thank those who have come with me today. Our Agriculture Secretary, you heard from Secretary Glickman. Our HUD Secretary, Secretary Cuomo, SBA Administrator Alvarez. We have two congressmen here, Jim Clyburn from South Carolina and Paul Kanjorski, who came all the way from Pennsylvania because they have places like Appalachia there, and they wanted to come down here to be with you. I want to thank Dwayne Ackerman and the other CEOs who are here, including Dick Huber of Aetna, the One Central Bank Kentucky CEO Kip Stolen, Sarah Gould from the Ms. Foundation, John Sykes from Sykes Enterprises, I'll mention him in a moment. I want to thank the Reverend Jesse Jackson, who keeps hope alive. And the others in our group, including Al Fromm, the leader of the Democratic Leadership Council, and David Wilhelm, who's from nearby in Ohio and was my first Democratic National Committee chairman. I'd like to thank the young people here in AmeriCorps and I would like to say a special word of thanks to Kaywood Ledford. Boy, he is... I was thinking that if old Kaywood had been a political announcer instead of a basketball announcer, and I could have kept him with me these last 25 years, I'd have never lost an election. You know, Kentucky has been good to me and Hillary and to the Vice President. It has been brought to my attention that in addition to the economy, we've been pretty good for Kentucky. Since I've been in office, UK basketball's had the most successful 6 years since Adolph Rupp was a coach. Tim Couch hadn't done badly either. You know, yesterday we celebrated the last 4th of July of this century. The last 4th of July of this century. Think of it, 223 Independence Days. I want y'all to drink plenty of water, and I'll make this quick. But you need to know why we came here. I wanted to come to the heart of America and Appalachia to talk about whether we're all going forward into the 21st century, whether we really can build a bridge over which we can all walk together. I'll bet you some of you here are actually the descendants of those people Governor Patton talked about, the Revolutionary War heroes who helped us settle this state. But you know, whether our parents and their parents came here on the Mayflower or slave ships, whether they landed on Ellis Island in the 1890s or came to Los Angeles Airport in the 1990s, around the 4th of July, we're supposed to celebrate what we have in common as Americans, to reaffirm that what unites us is more important than what divides us. Well, if we believe that, we have a shared stake in one another's success. I came here to say to you, I believe at this time of prosperity, if we can't find a way to give every single hardworking American family the chance to participate in the future we're trying to build for our country, we'll never get around to do it. Now is the time to move forward. Our country is the world's leading force for peace and freedom and human rights. We have the lowest crime rate in 25 years, the lowest welfare rolls in 30 years. 90% of our little children are immunized against serious childhood diseases for the first time in history. We have the longest peacetime expansion we've ever had, almost 19 million new jobs. Wages are rising for the first time in 20 years for ordinary people. We have 1 million kids lifted out of poverty, the lowest minority unemployment rate ever recorded. And yet, even though this is a blessed time for America, not all Americans have been blessed by it. And you know that as well as I do. So I came here to show America who you are. And when I leave here, I'm going on to the Mississippi Delta, to my home country. Then I'm going up into the Middle West, and then over to Phoenix, Arizona, and up to the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota, and then ending this tour in East Los Angeles to make a simple point that this is a time to bring more jobs and investment and hope to the areas of our country that had not fully participated in this economic recovery. We have an obligation to do it. I started out the morning in the town of Tyner, a little village, with a wonderful woman who took me to see her 69-year-old father that just lost his wife after 51 years of marriage. And I saw 4 generations of that family. And I walked in the neighborhoods, and I listened to the people tell me they needed better housing and better transportation. And then I went on to Mid-South Electronics, a place that had 40 employees 10 years ago and has 850 today and about to expand some more, to make the point that any work that can be done by anybody in America can be done here in Appalachia and throughout the other places in this country that are not fulfilling their promise. I came here in the hope that with the help of the business leaders here, we could say to every corporate leader in America, take a look at investing in rural and inner city America. It's good for business, good for America's growth, and it's the right thing to do. If we, with the most prosperous economy in our lifetimes, cannot make a commitment to take every person along with us into the 21st century, we will have failed to meet a moral obligation. And we also will have failed to make the most of America's promise. You know, these economists in Washington and New York used to tell me that if the unemployment rate ever dropped below 6% in America, we'd have inflation out of control. Well, it's been under 5% for 2 years now, and inflation's still low. And I'm telling you, it can go lower. We can hire more people. We can have more jobs. But we've got to go to the places where there have not been enough new jobs and there has not been enough new investments. And we have to provide incentives for people to go there. I asked these business and political leaders to join me because we wanted to send a signal to America that we know that government can't solve these problems alone, but we know that we'll never get anywhere by leaving people alone either. You tried it that way here in the hills and hollows of Kentucky and West Virginia and Ohio and Virginia and Appalachia for years. That didn't work out very well. That what works is when we go forward together. I came here to say that I believe the government's part is to create the conditions of a strong economy, to give individuals the tools they need to succeed, including education and training, and to give incentives to businesses to take a second look at the places that they have